delighted to be joined by Mark Jansen of Epica. The record Omega is on the way. Mark, it has been almost 5 whole years since we've had an Epica record. How much has Epica grown in that half a decade?
That's hard to tell. I think it's easier for the fans to tell about that. But I think we made some nice steps forward. And this album, we took our time. It's indeed 5 years. And but we only started working on it when we felt like we are ready for it. So when the batteries were fully recharged and we were ready to go, and then that was a good decision because of that we could make exactly the album that we wished to make.
And when you take your time, when did that inspiration come? Like, when did the moment come when you felt inspired and as a band were ready to kind of work on a new record?
Yeah, that time was, we took a little break, so like a couple of months, and then we felt like reborn. If we would have started right before the break, we were too tired. It was a long tour, and we already also basically together for almost like 20 years. So it was time for a little lay back time, do some other things in life. And then, we felt ready. So that was the moment after a couple of months, we felt like being inspired again.
And so when you are a band that have got like next year, it becomes a 20-year legacy. When you have that, is the challenge to put new ideas into Epica at this point in time? Or is it to be faithful to the Epica sound? Or is it both?
Both, yeah. I always try that, at least when I write my own songs, but I think all of us, I can speak for all of us when I say that we try to keep intact the sound of Epica. We stay loyal to our roots. But at the same time, we always try to do something new, something refreshing, and we also challenge ourselves. So, for example, if you normally start with a keyboard writing a song, then next time you pick up a guitar, you challenge yourself to start in a different way, and also sometimes to work with a friend who has different ideas and say, maybe this can be cool for Epica, and then you start working with him, and then you come up with new ideas that you don't come up with when you start yourself or working with the guys in Epica. So there were a few ideas emerging like that when I worked with a friend of mine, and we were writing some music together. And after that, we worked with a band on it, and then we made it typically Epica. But sometimes it's very nice to start in a completely different way.
Do we get an insight into that with the fact that you've just released the title track of your album acoustically? It almost feels like we've got the nucleus of where the song comes from.
Yeah, that when you listen to that song, you already get some reference how the Omega track is sounding like. But also not too much, because with every acoustic track, we try to do something completely different. So you get kind of the melody lines of the song, but you don't really get to the atmosphere of the actual song yet, because it's pretty different.
Yeah, agreed. And is it a strange thing to be writing a record that is about Omega and the Big Bang and that kind of, like, fucking, I don't like using the word biblical because that gives it a religious context, but like that kind of concept and ideal in the current environment, how does that interact? How does where we are as civilization right now and writing about the Big Bang, like, how does that come together?
Yeah, it's funny because all these lyrics were finished before the pandemic hit us. But it's like these lyrics fit very well to the current situation. So it's sometimes things you don't have to think too much about. Things have to be like they come to happen. So that when I reread the lyrics that we wrote ourselves with in mind the current pandemic, it totally makes sense. And I think that a lot of people gonna find some strength in these lyrics. At least I hope so, because people are in need of new music and messages of hope. And sometimes we have to go through a period of chaos. And now it's definitely a period of chaos. But history always tells us that after this period of chaos, it can take even some years. You never know. But after this period of chaos, there comes a time where we get everything back together again. And of course, I cannot wait for that moment. But first, we have to get through that period. Actually, in that period now that we have this challenges, we learn also a lot. We can learn a lot, and also how to cooperate in a better way again as humanity, also together with nature, because we had the tendency of pushing nature a little bit in a corner. But when you do that and don't live in balance with nature, at a certain point, nature says, "Hello, I'm here."
Yeah, totally.
I have to be considered.
Isn't that so?
What's going on now?
Isn't that so strange to kind of have a record that's about the Big Bang and be dealing with the reckoning at the same time? At the same time.
Yeah, and also there's also one song we're talking about, the apocalypse. So that the apocalypse, and that it's funny that now is some kind of time that you can really think about the apocalypse. But actually, the apocalypse, what's the true meaning? The old wisdom teachings say that the apocalypse is not the end of all times, but it's the lifting of the veil. So we were living in a kind of illusionary world, and when you see through it, that's the apocalypse as well. So, I love that kind of description more than like the whole world exploding.
Yeah, you and me both. So when you finish this record and you've got it done and we're on the verge of it coming out, in what ways would you say that, what are we going to hear that's new from Epica on this record?
Yeah, first of all, we try to write some songs with in mind that we would be playing on a festival in front of a big crowd that full of people that don't know the band yet. And we thought we want to write some songs that these people already, when they see us for the first time on this festival, going to have a good time with these songs. So that's something we had in mind. And the other thing, what's new, is that we had a completely different approach of mixing this album, because we had the feeling that with the holographic principle is pretty full. And it's like all the time the guitars and orchestra, they are literally battling to get the attention. And we thought this time we put more like sometimes the guitars up front, sometimes the orchestra. And that creates a lot of more space. And then when you listen to the album from the beginning till the end, it's more easy to process for the ears. So this new mixing approach, I like personally a lot more than the mix we had on the holographic principle.
And you did mention the legacy of the band. Next year, I think, is the official, like, that's 20 years. Do you have anniversary plans, or will there be special celebrations for Epica next year?
Yeah, we actually already for like 2 years ago, we had a lot of plans, but now we have to see a bit what we can realize from this plan, because it all depends on how the upcoming time everything is going to develop. So it's at this point, it's hard to tell what things we can do, but we are looking like day by day, and as soon as things are opening up and things get possible again, we can take these plans out of the closet and start working with them. But yeah, it all depends on how everything develops the upcoming time.
Gotcha. Well, last question from me today. In recent times, there's been a lot of cool movement in symphonic metal. Like I live in America, but like in Canada, Unleash the Archers had a really big year last year, and it feels like the terrain of symphonic metal is changing all of the time, and people are bringing in new ways of doing things all of the time. Is that's a positive and exciting thing for a band like Epica, right? Does it feel like there's more opportunity for people to hear Epica than maybe there even was 5 years ago, when it felt like, you're Within Temptations and whoever have kind of got a kind of lockdown? It feels like the sound of symphonic metal has progressed somewhat and opened new doors.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny because like 20 years ago, there were already some people, they said, symphonic metal, will be disappearing in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But actually what happened was it kept evolving, and I think now it's bigger than ever before. And like you say, there's still new doors being opened, and I think we are still reaching new people that haven't heard about this type of music before. And due to With the Temptation, they jump on other bands, or due to Nightwish on other bands, or they first come to us and then start listening to other bands. And I think that's a beautiful, the scene. So I'm really very happy and proud that we are still around and that we still reach new people. Very thankful for that.
Yeah, you know what? I will be totally honest, as I always am. I was one of those people that was like, symphonic metal will only last 5 minutes. And you just watched it go from strength to strength to strength, to the extent that where I'm from in England now, bunch of those bands play in arenas. So I am happy to have egg on my face, because it means that bands like yourselves are still here 20 years later. The new album, Omega, is out soon. Mark, thank you so much for your time today, man.
Thank you too. Had a good time.
Take care, Mark. See you soon.
See you.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Cheers.